Hey guys, I'm just here with Matthew Kerr, who runs Insider Finance. So those guys looking to do finance deals for small property developments, or you want to refinance your portfolio, pull out some equity and go and buy another property, whether it's in a development property or investment property. So Matthew is a gun in this space, has been involved in this space for a number of years and has done smaller deals and a whole lot of bigger deals as well. So if you're looking at anything sub 1 million, or even if you're over that and you're in the residential space, Matthew is an absolute expert in that. And he's got a number of years of experience that many other brokers cannot compete with. So if you're looking for a really good broker, I definitely would recommend Matthew for those guys who don't have a broker already. But Matthew's got some case studies which will give you an idea on what's possible. So Matthew, I'll hand the reins over to you.
Thank you, Adam. Very kind introduction. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity just to go through a couple of recent case studies that a couple of deals that we've put together recently, which might sort of fit in, hopefully, with a few of your investors. Pretty quick. The last one's a bit of a left field one, but this is one you were sort of referring to earlier about someone who might have tapped out from a serviceability perspective. This one caused me a few grey hairs, I've got to say, but this was a syndicate.
But you got there.
We got there.
You delivered.
We got there indeed. But so four mates essentially got together and decided that they were going to do a duplex development. They bought an established property, that actually is the property they purchased. They bought it at a pretty good time, about 12 months ago. So they've seen a bit of growth in the property itself in the meantime. I guess what we tried to do when they secured the site was just do a standard 80% loan against the property as a normal residential loan. At the time, it was at about 2.8%. When we actually set up the facility, they purchased the property in a company name. So they had 4 directors and of that company. So in the meantime, the strategy was to rent it out and just get their ducks in a line to do the development. They were pretty green as investors and developers, so they had a bit of homework to do, and but they thought they'd secure the property first, which turned out to be a really good move.
Okay, so that doesn't always happen, by the way.
No, it doesn't. So
they got lucky, but I've seen plenty of people that don't get lucky like that.
Probably not the way to go, and they've certainly been fortunate with what the market's done since they purchased our property. So these guys, when we borrowed the 80% loan against the purchased property, they all just pooled some funds individually to put into the company to cover the 20% deposit. One of them wasn't a homeowner, so it was purely cash. The other guys, we set up a facility secured to their home to cover that part of the deposit that they had to pay. So the first part was that the 80% loan against the purchase property, they tipped in enough cash themselves to cover the 20%. Now, at that stage, the plan was we would seek to do a normal residential construction loan at construction time. So mainstream lender, major bank, try and get the cheapest rate we can. In the meantime, so there was about a 12-month lag to the point where construction was ready to go. They all individually made changes to their financial position. So because the market was in a bit of a frenzy, they all wanted to buy investment properties individually. So they went away and did their own transactions on, acquiring more property, which, is fine. But it just meant by the time we got to construction time, their financial positions had changed to the point where we didn't qualify for getting standard residential funding to complete the construction.
Because they had gotten other loans and used their serviceability. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
And so, chances are they didn't listen to any of my training to say do stuff in different entities so it doesn't affect your serviceability.
Yeah, exactly.
So they did it in their personal name, I'm guessing.
They did. They did. And when you're trying to show serviceability as a normal residential loan with, you know, those 4 parties, you know, they're all married as well. They've all got kids. So in the actual serviceability assessment,
Wow.
you're factoring in 4 households' living expenses.
Yeah.
Breaking down, you know, their monthly living expenses. You've got 3 of them are self-employed with companies and trusts. So trying to roll
Holy
all
moly.
that income in together was a bit of a nightmare. So
sounds like a love job, this one.
you guessed it. You guessed it.
For those people that don't know, that's a very big application. I know what it's like to do one application for serviceability. So you basically had to do that 4 times over, right? For each person to justify what the serviceability, and then probably provide proof on every single person. So it's probably
proof on every single person. I mean, even just getting certified ID for every single person, because we had to include the wives as well, because you know, we were looking to use their income to try and prop it up to get it over the line. Look, at the end of the day, we did what we can to try and get it done as a normal residential loan. We couldn't get there, so we still had options. So the second option was to look at a development style facility.
Gotcha. And what did that look like? How bad was that versus a resi? Is that on the next? Is that coming?
Yeah, it's coming. So
not that it's probably bad.
No, look, it's
3%. Is that what it is? 3%?
No, it's this one down the bottom here, 6.99.
Oh, okay.
It ended up at. So I guess the beauty of where they were at, though, we actually we got approval from the development funder for them to be able to get to slab stage on the development itself. So they had enough funds between them. So up the top,
so they're building a duplex, right? And it's under construction at the moment?
It is, yes, although stalled because of the weather. But so the good thing was, while they held the property, you know, for 12 months leading up to the construction, we had it on really good terms, cheap money, under sort of 3% at the time. So yes, they're going to 6.99, you know, for the actual development funding, which includes refinancing that 80% facility at the same time. But because they're already at slab stage, the builder's pretty confident, you know, pending weather, it'll be well and truly finished by the end of the year. So realistically, they should only need that funding at that higher rate for sort of 6 or 7 months, because they are motivated to sell both of them ideally towards the end of construction. So the rate there wasn't a big deal for them. It's more the application fee with a facility like that can be quite high. So that was 1% that they had to pay on that application fee. So look, at the end of the day, it worked out pretty well for them on the basis that they didn't have to put in any more money. So because we got an end value, which got them to the point where, I'll just flick through. Yeah, so the breakdown there was including the construction, the refinance, the provision for interest. So the lender basically set up the facility so they didn't have to make repayments during construction.
So commercial style facility.
Yep. So
can you just take us through each one of these? So loan required $2.5 million. That included the land.
Yes. So that included the refinance of the land. So that was the 920. So that was the one on main. Whoops.
And then how much?
Sorry, mate. I'll come over. So
we won't criticize your PowerPoint skills. You can get loans across the line.
There all day.
That's a much better skill set.
So we're at 920 which is the refinance of the existing loan they had in place. Construction was 1.35. Inbuilt on top of that were their fees, the interest provision, which was 18 months worth of interest, and then the 5% contingency on the bill. So the lender basically holding over those amounts to cover themselves. So
and then GRV, gross realization value. So so it was valued at 3.5 million on completion when it was complete. Okay, so that's 1.75 per duplex.
Yeah, yep. You know, they're pretty confident they will get. There's a better one. So this one here, they feel as though. So this is on the side street. This is a corner block.
Gotcha.
The one on the outside, they think they'll get about 1.8. They reckon they could get 2 for this particular one. But yeah, so the beauty there was they didn't have to put in any more cash individually at this point, and they don't need to make repayments along the way. So they're obviously not receiving rent anymore. So this way, they're covered for 18 months, where they don't need to contribute any cash towards the development.
Gotcha.
And
how much did they put in at the start?
They put in 70.
Was it 200 and something thousand?
Yeah, 285.
So they put in 285,000, and they're set to make what, $1 million on top of that.
Ideally, yep.
That's
pretty
good. So return on investment's pretty high over. Well, they did buy it 12 months ago, you mentioned, so they've sat on it for a little bit. So if they developed it straight away, they probably would have done it in 18 months to 2 years. Would be my guess. With a project like that, I'd just ballpark it 18 months to 2 years.
I think the site would be probably close to 1.5 now. And
in terms of value, and they bought it at 1.1.
Yep.
Yeah, but if you do my program, Matt, I'd teach you how to buy a $1.5 million site for 1.1. You just do it off market. If you hit enough properties.
Yep.
So if you're astute and you buy, or you can buy well, you could still potentially buy that at what they paid for it 12 months ago.
Yeah. Okay.
You just do it off market. So there's no reason why somebody couldn't make the better part of $1 million on a project like this, which is crazy to think. Building a duplex, you make $1 million.
Yeah, absolutely.
That just fathoms me how small the project is, and you can make so much money on it.
Yeah. This is, I think it's one street back from the beach. It's a nice spot, but it's not, it's not living on the beach by any stretch. But it's a quality sort of product as well. Fairly sort of high end.
And restricted stock, I'm guessing it's.
Yeah, absolutely.
In one of the beachside suburbs of Sunshine Coast.
And those sort of low density areas, sorry. Not everyone can build a duplex. If you're living next door to that property now, you can't build a duplex because your neighbour has. So, it's not like there's going to be a whole heap of stock identical in that area.
So restricted supply. And a unique product, I suppose. When I know, I'm guessing this area has lots of older products, like older houses. So there's not many new properties to choose from.
Exactly right. So the other things down the bottom that I just noted there was they didn't need a pre-sale. So due to the LVR at 71% on the gross realised value, they didn't have to have a pre-sale. They don't need to make any repayments during construction. But also what you were touching on, where they had tapped out from a servicing perspective. We didn't need to demonstrate serviceability from them to get that facility.
So you don't even need to have a job, essentially. So
it's not quite a ninja loan. No income, no job, just assets. But it's look, it's a commercial transaction. It's all based on the LVR at the end of the day. their willingness to sell them on completion. So they did need to sign a stat deck to say that they would be selling them, as soon as the market was right. I mean, they've got a term of 18 months there where the interest is rolled in. So the term of the loan is 18 months. So they're really comfortable with that from a time frame perspective to get it built and get it sold.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Sounds like a very good deal.
Yeah.
And sounds like an even better loan that you got approved for them.
Yeah. It was hard work, but we got there. And look, we obviously wanted to get them the cheapest form of funding that we could. So we went through that process of trying to get it over the line on mainstream sort of funding. And if we didn't see as many changes in their personal financial positions through buying and being ready to construct, I think we could have done that, which would have been great. But their intention isn't to hold this property, so it's just a means to get construction completed and get it sold and bank some profit.
Yeah, cool, awesome. So the last one you've got, you said it's a bit of a curveball. You've given us a summary. Did you want to go through that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, just from the challenges on it was just the complexity with the multiple parties being involved. Look, these guys were pretty raw, pretty sort of gung ho, which worked in their favour in one respect, but just from my side, I think if you were investing even with one other party, or if you had multiple parties forming a little syndicate to invest like that, my advice would be to have the discussion at the start, just laying everything out on the table in terms of your financial position, having an agreement about taking on more debt, changes to your financial position, whilst this project is happening, just to alleviate any issues getting the ultimate funding that you need to do construction. So that they learnt that lesson in terms of, because they will be doing more. If they do want that cheaper form of mainstream lending, we do need to be able to prove serviceability, make it fit into that policy. So it was just a bit challenging with the changing of financial position. So that would be something that they wouldn't do again in the future. They'd have an agreement at the start, right? Let's not take on any more debt until we finish this project, unless it was comfortable to do so. There's not much else there, to be honest, outside of what we just spoke about.
All right, cool.